Hey everyone, welcome back to the CAD Thinkers YouTube channel. I'm Tanvi, and today I'll be walking you through the second video in our series of transitioning from Tinkercad to Autodesk Fusion 360. Fusion 360 is an upper-level computer-aided design software which will allow you to create a lot more advanced projects than we were able to do in Tinkercad. In the first video of the series, you learned the very basics of using Fusion 360, and now we're going to give you some tools to advance and speed up your design process. So let's get started. So last video, you learned how to create sketches and build your first individual bodies in Fusion 360. So today, we're going to start adding more parts to the projects that you've already learned how to make. So let's say we were creating a new body here in Fusion 360. Well, first you would click Sketch or Create Sketch, and then you would choose an axis to do it on. After choosing your axis, you can start creating your basic sketches. Today we're just going to go with the simple rectangle. And you can snap it into place and choose all of your dimensions. So this is just going to be my basic sketch for today. So after clicking Finish Sketch, we've got this nice profile of our project, and we're just going to extrude our sketch, which allows it to turn from a 2D sketch to a 3D object. And we're going to click the extrude button, hover over our sketch, and then hold down on this arrow until we get it to the width we want. So basically what we're going to learn in this video is how to start adding new parts to the basic projects you've already learned how to make. So to add a new component or a new part to this basic body that we have here, we're going to click Sketch again. And now this sketch is going to be determined based off of this base project we already have. So if we want to build on the back face of this block, or if we want to build on the front face, what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose this front face of the block and use it as my sketching plane. So now that becomes the base of our new sketches. And so I'm trying to add some walls to this box. So I'm going to again choose our rectangle sketch, and then we're just going to here make a new sketch of a rectangle that will extrude to be a wall of this box. So after making this rectangle, I'm just going to click Finish Sketch. And so now you've created a secondary part to be attached to your basic part in Fusion 360. One thing to be careful about before you extrude this sketch is you need to pay attention to the operation that it's telling you that this project will do. So let's say I extruded this, 120 millimeters. Well, if you go over here, you'll see operation. And so what operation means, or whatever operation you choose here, it's going to dictate how it attaches to the first sketch we have right here. So if I click join, then this new wall that I've created will join with that other project. It's kind of like grouping shapes in Tinkercad. If I click cut, then it's going to cut out a part of our previous project, which I'll show you how to do in a second. In this scenario, I'm going to choose new body. And what that's going to do is that's going to make a whole new object out of this wall that isn't joined to the other wall. And so that'll allow me to do a little bit more when it comes to terms of copy and pasting, which is important for this project. So I'm going to click new body for operation and click OK, and that'll create this wall here that, if you look closely, isn't actually attached to our previous project. All right, so that's basically how you add kind of new components to our basic sketches in Fusion 360. The next important thing to learn how to do is how to copy objects or move objects. So we're going to go up here to this tool within the modify section, and it says move/copy. Basically what I want to do is I want to move this wall, and I want to copy an exact replica of this wall onto the other side, so I kind of have almost a finished box, right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to make sure this says bodies, because you can also copy around like faces and things like that, and components, and there's a lot of vocabulary use in Fusion 360, and bodies and components mean different things. But right now we have just made two separate bodies. Components are kind of like collections of bodies. So right now we're just going to choose one body. We're going to choose this wall that we had made before, and that's the thing that we want to copy over. Generally, I like to do a point-to-point copy. So basically what this is going to allow me to do is choose the origin point of our project, and then it's going to allow me to choose a target point where I actually want the object to move in relation to. And so that's the most accurate way of doing it. You can also just do free move, and you can just move the object exactly where you want it. You can do a lot of different types of moving and copying, whatever feels the most natural to you. But I'm going to do this point-to-point copy. So I'm going to select the origin point. So the origin point point is kind of like the initial point of where our wall is. So if I was to choose an origin point, I'd probably choose this one. And so this is like where our wall is initially, and then I'm going to choose another point here where I want our wall to go. And I'm actually going to change our origin point here, because what I want to do is I want to choose the inner origin point here of our body. And so then when I move our target point to this edge, it's going to move the entire body over so that it's actually going to line up with the edge I already had of this block. Now, if I weren't to do that, if I instead selected an origin point that was out here of our wall, and then I moved it to this target point, you could see that there's a little bit of overhang, because Autodesk Fusion doesn't just autocorrect for the width of the wall itself. So we're just going to choose the origin point that I had before. So for our origin point, we're just going to choose this inner point here, and then we're going to move it over to this edge, and then that's the move function of this tool. But if I click create copy, then it'll create these two different walls that I need for my project. I'm just going to click OK, and so that's really how you use the copying tool. So now let's say I wanted to practice using the copying tool. Well, I'll just click move/copy again, and I want to also copy over this wall to this side so that we can have a complete box. So I'm just going to click the body I want to move. I'm going to select its origin point. So let's say I was selecting an origin point. I'm just going to select over here, and then I'm going to move this object over here. So that'll be a good point. And then I'm just going to click create copy so that it finishes off the box we've been creating, and that's how you use the copying tool. So those are two of the main functions you'll be using in Autodesk Fusion 360, but there's a few other cool tools I want to show you that are pretty important. So to start off, I'm just going to create a new sketch, and I'm going to choose this topmost plane of our project to design on. So let's say I was here, and I'm just going to make a nice little ceiling for the box we've created so far. So I'm just going to make this rectangle across the entire ceiling, and that's going to be my new sketch. And then I'm going to extrude it to kind of make the ceiling right here. I don't want it to pop out, so I'm going to go negative, and let's say we did like negative, like a 2 millimeter high ceiling. And then I'm going to do the new body component as well, just in case I want to copy it over without it joining to everything right next to it. So the first thing I'm going to show you is this rectangular pattern that Autodesk Fusion 360 does, which is it's a really cool function, which basically allows you to make a lot of equally spaced sketches in a really intuitive way. And so let's say I was trying to make this box kind of like a Lego or something. So I was trying to add all of those circles that kind of protrude out of a Lego. So the way I would do that is first I would come here and make a sketch on top of our project. So I'm going to come here and make a circle sketch. So this will serve as like one of the circles of the Lego that I want to extrude out of it to like clip in with other Legos. So after creating the circle, you might want to check its dimensions as well. You can do that nicely over here in Autodesk by just checking its measurements from different areas. So let's say I wanted to change this measurement here. I want it to be 15 millimeters from this edge, and then I also want it to be 15 millimeters from this edge. So I'll just pull it out, and that you can do with the dimension tool, which you learned in the last video. And so now we have at least one of the circles of our Lego, and what we can do with this is we could click extrude and click on this surface, and let's say okay, we'll deal with, I think 5 millimeters is good, and so we can just, and we wanted this to be a new body, and we can just click this, and so now we have at least one of our circles. And so the beauty of the rectangular pattern here is now what you can do is you can go here to create, I believe, and go down to pattern and click rectangular pattern here. And what this will allow us to do is if we select this body and we want to select an axis, so after selecting our axis, and which you do by choosing one of the edge of our projects, now we got these arrows here, and you can actually start pulling out the pattern of circles you want. So let's say I think I want 4 on this section, so it'll change our quantity and it'll tell us the distance between each of those. So let's say I want 4 there, and then I want two rows of circles there, and so you can actually just keep changing this until you see something that looks good. And so the rectangular pattern allows you to really speed up your process. We wouldn't have to make each of these circles. We could just use a pattern and create that. And then after creating this and clicking OK, then we've got all of our circles here on top of our brick. Alright, so the next and last tool I'll be showing you is the cut tool in Fusion 360, and this is a really also helpful tool that'll allow us to make holes into the projects we already have. So let's say we have this block here and we're feeling a little bit destructive and we want to cut a window out of this Lego block. So we want to cut just a rectangle out of the side of this block. So what we would do here, we would again start with creating a sketch. That's kind of how everything starts in Fusion 360. We would choose our axis. So let's say I'm just trying to cut a rectangle out of this axis. And we're going to do the same thing we've always been doing. We're going to cut the kind of profile of the hole we want, so like a pretty big hole here. I'm going to finish my sketch, and so the way you're going to actually cut a hole out of a project that you already have is you're going to use the extrude function. You can actually extrude it into this object, and you'll kind of see it's already making this red. And so if you look over here after you've extruded your shape, you can see that the operation says cut. And when the operation says cut, that basically means it's going to cut a hole out of the object. And so once I extrude it, it's going to take out parts of the project we already have. And so after doing cut and I click OK, now I have this hole in our Lego block. Now I'm not sure exactly why you would want a hole in your Lego block, but that's generally how you do the cut function. So there you have it. Those are the basic tools you need to start advancing your design skills in Fusion 360. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned in for our next few videos where we'll be giving you some beginner projects to start testing out new tools and skills in Fusion 360, and those will roll out in the next few weeks. So make sure you subscribe to this channel and watch the other videos we have on getting started in Fusion 360. If you want to help produce some of these videos and you have some Fusion 360 or robotics knowledge and would like to start creating projects that truly impact the rest of society, please go to www.cadthinkers.com and sign up for a volunteering position where you can help us make some of these cool, amazing videos. See you guys soon.